Greetings, Salibonani. My name is Princess Ndlovu from the Girls Table. I want to welcome you today ku podcast yethu namhlanje where we'll be talking about environmental corruption and the misuse of environmental funds. Ku podcast yethu namhlanje ngilesivakashi sami I have a young woman from Cholocho ibizwe lakhe nguGugulethu Ncube esabe sixoxisana kabanzi nge-topic yethu namhlanje environmental corruption. Siyakwamukela Gugulethu Ncube kuhlelo lethu lama-podcast The Girls Table. Sizecela ukuthi sizwe from wena-ke njengesakhamuzi lo muntu ohlala phakathi kwale ndawo yaseCholocho ukuthi lina-ke cela ukuthi ngibuze ukuthi entabeni sakho usuke wachayisana layo yini environmental corruption njalo ili-affecta njani njengabomamanyana?
Hayi, ngiyabonga. Sengike ngahlangana layo sibili. Lapha esigabeni sakithi uyathola ukuthi abantu bayathiya emadamu. Bayathiya mabethiya besebenzisa amanethi. So amanethi lawana avele wona alomuthi. Ayasibulalela izifuyo, amanzi ayangcola. Asisakwazi ukuthi sithole amanzi ukuthi siyenze noma izingadi zethu sikwazi ukuthi lathi njengabomamanyana silima imbhida sikwazi ukuthi sithole imali yokuthi lathi sizincedise. Njalo futhi kuyachiswa kulokuchiswa kweganga. Iganga lapha abantu bayachisa, ekuchiseni iganga asisatholi indawo yamasimu. Umhlabathi uyagugudeka ngokugamula kwezihlahla ikho engikutholayo la.
Okay, siyabonga kakhulu umbono wakho. So uyatsho ke uGugulethu Ncube ukuthi ekugamuleni kulabantu abagamulayo izihlahla okungekho emthethweni okubangela ukuthi ugcina sokugugudeka umhlabathi okugcina sokubangela ukuthi amasimu abo lapho abakhona lamadlelo ayezifuyo zabo asathola ukudla ngendlela eyiyo ekanye lamanzi futhi njalo ekhuluma la ngendaba yamanzi makuthiwa okungekho emthethweni amanzi ayangcola osokubangela ukuthi amanzi lawana asekho safe ukuthi anathwe njalo asekho safe ukuthi athelele lezifuyo zikwanisa ukuthi zinathe khona ngoba ezinye izifuyo zabe zingasakwanisi ukuthi ngoba basebenzisa amanethi lawa ayiwo alomuthi ngoba babethiya ngendlela engekho emthethweni. Hayi siyayizwa kakhulu ipoint yakho Gugulethu. Ngicela ukubuza futhi njalo ukuthi wena ku community yakho do you believe ukuthi women omamanyana nje in your community have equal access to environmental resources okungafanana nje lamanzi aklinona lawo le land nje njalo i-corruption i-affecta njani i-access leyi ngendlela engichaza ngakhona?
Hayi ngiyezwa sibili kodwa mina kangikholelwa ukuthi sonke siyawathola ama-equal access lawo ngoba amanzi vele njengoba ngishilo ukuthi amanzi ayahlangcole asisawathola amanzi aklini. Inkuni abantu bayagamula izihlahla okungekho emthethweni okubangela ukuthi thina emakhaya vele sidependa ngazo inkuni lezi ukuze sibase umlilo. So ma izigodo lezi inkuni lezi seziganyuliwe abantu bagamula khathana thina abanye asisakutholi ngesizathu sokuthi uyabungela inqola namadonki lawo ukuthi into lezi uhambe ezilanda khathana sokufuneka imali uthola ukuthi le mali leyo awulayo sokusebenzisa nzima.
Okay, ngiyakuzwa Gugulethu. So wena ngombono wakho njengoba ukhuluma ngendlela uhlupho elilalo ma ukusikhangele lapho ngeze ku-environment yenu, ngicela ukubuza ukuthi ngombono wakho wena ucabanga ukuthi yiphi mhlawumbe indima njengabomamanyana nalinje yiphi indima elingayidlala ukuzama ukuthi lime for i-protection ye-environment yenu njalo lingaba empowered njani ukuthi li-act against corruption ekhona esigabeni senu lapho elikhona?
Hayi ngiyezwa lapha ngicabanga ukuthi njengabo mamanyana ukuze si-act lapha kumele sisukume senze ama-group ukuthi lathi sihambe sifundisana nje ngendlela zokuthi ama-resources ethu siwaphathe njani siwaprotecte njani. Kodwa ekwenzeni lokhu ngicabanga ukuthi kuyaba kumele sithole olunye ulwazi kwabanye abantu. Elwazini lolu ukwenzela ukuthi sibe kwazi kahle kahle ukuthi ma umuntu simlanda sisiyakhuluma laye sixoxisana laye sileminye imicijo evelela kwabanye abantu abalolwazi oludlula olwethu, ngoba kunje okunye okungasicina kusihlukumeza indaba yemali. Ezinye indawo zikhatshana, so asingeke sikwazi ukuthi sihambe ngezinyawo sisiyaxoxisana lalabo bantu. Kodwa masingathola imali sithole lolwazi kwabanye abantu, siyakhona ukuthi sisukume njengabomamanyana lokhu sikwenze ukuze i-corruption le ekhona esigabeni sethu iphele. And siyafisa lokuba kwazi ukuthi i-corruption le kahle kahle ekhona siyimela njani, siyiripota ngaphi masiyibonile, ngoba kasikwazi ukuthi iripotwa njani, kubane, ngasiphi isikhathi. So siyabasidinga ulwazi olufana lalolu.
Okay, thank you very much to our young women esilayo namhlanje ugogo lethu Ngcobo ngokuba live for your contributions obelayo ku podcast yethu namhlanje, input nje oyifakileyo about knowledge yakho. But siyakhangela masikhangela nje is quite clear ukuthi through her responses kuyabonakala ukuthi khona na abakwazi young women from Choroche basadinga ulwazi malana ngecorruption, ukuthi befundiswe kabanzi ukuthi bebekwazi ukuthi what is i-corruption. Even masikhuluma nje sikhuluma nge-environmental corruption lesa sikhuluma ngani kahle kahle, basadinga ukuthi bezwisise kabanzi ngakho. That's why ku podcast yethu namhlanje ngizama ukuthi invite an expert uDr Phiri, who is the climate change researcher, onguye ozazama ukuthi asichazele kabanzi ukuthi what is really masikhuluma nge-environmental corruption, sabe sikhuluma ngani, azama ukuthi alufake sobala lolu daba esikhuluma ngayo namhlanje.
Okay, when we're talking of environmental corruption, this refers to the illegal and unethical actions that affect the environment. This is often driven by personal gains, corporate gains, or even for the political advantage or for the political benefit, while giving a blind eye towards the environment. So with this in mind, it involves the manipulation of policies, regulations, and enforcement mechanism meant to protect the environment. So as these are manipulated, it has an effect or an impact on the environment, which harm can be caused if these are not addressed. So this corruption manifests in different ways and affects the community, the environment, and environmental sustainability and conservation. So the first manifestation of this environmental corruption, it's the illegal resource exploitation, whereby we have illegal miners going on board, given licenses, or them not being persecuted for mining in unauthorized land or unauthorized places. Is that doing that? They're affecting the environment, thereby leading to environmental corruption. Also, we talk of weak enforcement of environmental laws, in which there's poor enforcement of laws, especially by the authorities. For example, if we look in Zimbabwe, we have the Environmental Management Agency. Its enforcement will be low, whereby there will be rampant cutting down of trees, rampant land degradation, without any enforcement of laws, through to corruption and also personal gains. Thereby, in doing this, it affects the environment. There's also permit and licensing fraud. This example can be given to the scenario or incident of the Chinese who were given a license to mine in the national parks. So this affects the environment at large. There's also the misappropriation of environmental funds, where the government failed to allocate money or divert the money that is meant for environmental protection. There's also issue to do with land grabbing and forced displacement, where people are displaced to unauthorized places. There's land pollution and water pollution, thereby leading to environmental corruption.
Okay, so how does environmental corruption affect women and marginalized groups? And again, what are the broader implications for community health and well-being?
So when women as environmental corruption manifests itself, it has a huge impact on women and marginalized groups. When we talk of marginalized groups, we're talking of people from the rural areas, the small communities that have low self-power to defend themselves. So environmental corruption affects women as there is increased exposure to environmental risk. So in rural areas where women mostly depend on natural resources like water, firewood, and arable land, because there are more than 60% of women are involved in conservative agriculture, which is their main livelihood. So as environmental corruption persists, these women, usually there's an increase in exposure, and affects their day-to-day chores, as there is increased distance to fetch water due to environmental corruption. There's also loss of livelihoods, as I highlighted that most of the communities, they depend on agriculture, fishing, forest products for income. So due to livelihood corruption, environmental corruption, their livelihoods can be affected, as there is high displacement, there's illegal mining, there's illegal land ownership, thereby affecting their livelihoods. There's also talk to do with displacement and land grabbing. Women usually, they don't have power to resist any displacement, and they have limited power to often, especially for the marginalized groups, they don't have power to resist displacement, and thereby doing so, they are faced with high levels of displacement and land grabbing.
Okay, I get what you're saying, Dr. Pierre. So what strategies can be implemented in to combat corruption in environmental governance?
So as there is environmental corruption, the communities can be capacitated through knowing their rights, especially the marginalized groups, because these tend to be the one affected, and they are also the victims of land corruption. So if they are capacitated to know their rights, this makes them to be able to defend themselves and where to report in such cases. There's also need to strengthen the enforcement of environmental protection laws and regulations, so that issues to do with the land grabbing and also illegal minings can be addressed, because most of these environmental corruption, they emanate from illegal mining and land grabbing. So if these laws can be enhanced and enforced, this will ensure that communities are free from environmental corruption. Then there's also to do with community monitoring, where the communities have to monitor their own land so that they can be able to report cases of land or environmental corruption to the relevant authorities. And also, as they are monitoring that, there's need to strengthen the referral pathways, so that whenever they see those cases through their reporting, they know where to report, and those mechanisms, they are strengthened, so that such cases cannot be left unaddressed. Then there is also to do with use of media and leveraging on media and social media, so that these issues, they can be brought to light through the introduction of social media, which is one of the key aspects towards citizen journalism in the 21st century.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. Communities must know their rights. Yeah, ngiyavumelana nawe, Dr. Pierre. So what policy changes are necessary to ensure that environmental resources are managed transparently and equitable? And how can these policies be effectively enforced?
To ensure that environmental corruption or resources are managed with transparent and equitability, there's need to strengthen the legal frameworks and environmental governance, whereby the laws are clearly stated and followed. They're enforced to make sure that they're respected by everyone, despite their political affiliation, despite their political strength, so that everyone can have the responsibility to protect the environment. There is also need to enhance accountability mechanisms in the communities or in the country to ensure that to enforce strict and anti-corruption policies within institutions which are responsible for environmental resource management. For example, in Zimbabwe, to have laws to increase accountability on laws that look into the environmental management agents to reduce the issue to do with corruption. There's also to promote inclusive decision making in the communities, whereby the marginalized communities are also involved. Women are also involved in the land use, also in the management of the environment.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Phiri, for your contribution ku-podcast yethu namhlanje obelayo. Siyabonga kakhulu. As you have stated ke lapho ukuthi khona ukhuluma nge-inclusive decision making where everyone should be involved. Siyabonga kakhulu, Dr. Phiri, ukuba layo ku-podcast yethu namhlanje. Ke sesifike ukuthi sesisemaphethelweni e-podcast yethu. Siyabonga kakhulu lakubalaleli bethu esilabo namhlanje. Okhulumayo njalo ngo-Princess Ndlovu from the Girls Table. It's a goodbye for now.
This project was made possible through a partnership between USAID Zimbabwe and ZimCord. The podcast is made possible by the generous support of the American people through United States Agency for International Development Zimbabwe. The contents are the responsibility of the Girls Table and do not necessarily reflect the views of USAID or the United States government.